Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, YouTube? Just sitting out here enjoying a cigar on a kind of weird day. It was raining hard this morning. The ground's still wet. Everything's kind of wet around here. And there's still clouds in the sky, but there's some blue breaking through. So I postponed changing out my pipe because I didn't want to get started, and then there's rain. I still don't trust it. I think the rain's supposed to be coming back. So I don't want to be, tearing stuff apart and then bam, it starts raining. Well, a couple weeks ago, I was out here giving myself an oil change and it started raining right in the middle. I had to put the oil back in the bike and bam, it starts raining on me. I'm over here trying to cover up the funnel and everything. So, it's a hassle. I don't have a garage. I just have a carport here with my pop-up going. So that keeps me from, being totally exposed in the elements, but it's not enough, especially when you get these heavy rains like we get here in the winter time in December and January. So like I said in my last video, I've been away, been dealing with health issues, dealing with all kinds of stuff, club issues, all that. And I just work. So, it's kept me away from updating my videos. Trying to post my content consistently, at least once or twice a week. So that's a habit that I have to form, and I have to make that time in my daily schedule to do what I need to do to make sure that happens. I didn't do a whole lot of runs over December because I was sick. November, December, I was under the weather most of that time. So I got out, for a few rides here and there, but nothing major, nothing big. So I didn't have anything to post anyway for that. And now, the way LA is, for those who don't know, if you're not around here, the winter time is typically chilly and rainy. So we're going through that right now. The phase of the weather is rainy right now. So December, January are rainy months, maybe into February, then it'll start warming up again for us. It'll probably creep up, we'll be skating through on the 60s and 70s. And then April rolls around, we'll start to bump it up again. We get in the 70s, up into the 80s even, into May, where it's just summertime, basically. It is summertime for most people. Here, it's still spring because our summers get even hotter. So, but it's all good riding weather, and I'm looking forward to it. So, but my bike has been down because when I got this pipe for the bike, the pipe was a gift from a friend of mine. He actually had put it on his bike, didn't like the way it sounded, took it off the bike. I don't think he used it for a week. Took it off the bike and gave it to me. And then I had it for probably 2 years, 3 years, and I never used it. I never put it on the bike. And then about a year, I want to say a year ago, about a year ago, I swapped it out. What I was running then were the Cobra Neighbor Haters, which didn't have a bad sound. They were definitely better than stock, but I was still running the stock header pipes and all that. Just the mufflers were the Neighbor Haters. And so finally I decided to swap these out, and I put the Bassani Road Rage on here. I instantly got some performance gains. I got the bike on a tuner, so it runs pretty good. It hasn't been running as good lately because the pipe has come loose. But what I was trying to illustrate is that here on the pipe, there's a bracket down right here in the middle, and you can see it right there under the tranny. And when my buddy gave me the pipe, he did not give me that bracket. So I didn't think about it. I didn't really worry too much about it. I just threw the pipe on and mounted it up here at the flange on the engine and down under the bag. And consistently since then, I've had issues with the vibration of the pipe and the pipe kind of flexing, moving a little bit. And I've had to adjust this mount under the bag multiple times. And I've had to tighten the nuts on the exhaust on the studs, the head, the studs that come out of the head several times. And I just kept it rolling. But this past time they came off, and then I got an error code on the engine. And when I ran the code, it told me I had an exhaust leak on the rear head. So, and I believe that because I actually, with the vibrations, I lost one of my nuts off of there. So I know that this thing was moving around and coming loose. And it sounds like it, it has that tinny sound, like, when your exhaust is loose. I've had that problem happen to me on my Dyna as well with my Thunder header. And, I had to make adjustments. But on this one, it was doing that. So finally I found a guy, Pat, over at Casey's Harley over here in Pacoima. This dude's a good dude, helped me out, got me the bracket from Bassani. Reasonable price, it was $40 for the bracket. And now I just have to throw it on here and then hook everything back up. It's a bit of a hassle, to be honest though, because I have to drop the pipe to put the bracket on and then mount the pipe back up. But part of the problem is on my bike, I put lowers on there. So now I got to take the lowers off. I mean, I guess technically you don't have to, but it's in your best interest to do so. You got to take the lower off. It makes it so much easier to get to those nuts up in the front. Take the lowers off, take your bag off, drop the pipe down, put the bracket on. Probably gonna have to change out the exhaust gaskets, put new ones in there. I got those already. Throw those in, put the pipe back on, get it balanced, make sure it's in a good spot, stable, button it all back up, then throw this lower fairing back on. So looks like I'm in for some fun. Until then, I'm not gonna ride the bike. I don't wanna, jeopardize anything, break a stud or, have the engine sucking in cold air and, have something happen. So I'm just, letting it ride. I was gonna take care of this weekend, but like I said, it's raining. It's been raining. It started raining Friday night. It rained yesterday. Saturday, it rained yesterday. Now it rained today. Hopefully this week is not raining, so when I get off work, I can come home and just boom, knock it out. Because my bike is my therapy. I don't know about you guys, but my bike is my therapy. There's a video Harley put out a while ago for Black Harley riders. That they're back about 10 years ago, Harley got on this kick to kind of reach out and do their diversity thing. And so they made a video for Black riders. They made a video for Latin riders called Harlistas. And then they made a video for female riders. But the one with the Black riders featured some legends in the motorcycle world. And one of those is Toby Jean Livingston, rest in peace. He was the founder and leader of the East Bay Dragons. And in that video, he talks about how his bike basically was his escape, He said when he ain't had no money to pay his bills, and when his wife was getting on him, and he didn't have any any peace. Basically, those aren't his exact words, so don't quote me on that. But basically, he was saying when he was having issues and he needed to think, he jumped on his Harley and he went for a ride. And that's me. That's what I do. I jump on my bike and I go for a ride. I let my mind relax. I get peace. And so in my work capacity, I deal with a lot of people and a lot of personalities, and so it's not always easy. You get a lot of stress and frustration dealing with people, trying to help them figure themselves out and figure out what's right and what's not right. And when I leave work, I need to get that wind blowing in my face some days. There are some days when I leave there, I'm like, shh, and I just need that wind therapy. And this bike gives that to me, so I got to get her going as soon as I can. Along with my Dyna. My Dyna is like right at the edge of running, but to be honest, I just been lazy about buttoning it up, getting it going. I think I need to call the fellas over and, have a pizza party or something and just have everybody over and knock it out. And then, then I have it ready to go, and I can ride this or ride that. I don't have to worry about if I have a bike to ride or not, because I'll have both of them going at the same time. And I look forward to that because I miss riding the Dyna. Although this bike is really comfortable compared to my Dyna, but the Dyna, it whips like it whips like a little scooter. It's like you can throw it around. I can throw this one around too, but yeah, there's still that Dyna just they're so much smaller. I remember I hadn't sat on the Dyna in a while, and then I was moving it around, and I sat on it. And it just kind of shook me how much smaller it was than this bike. After being so used to sitting on this bike all the time, to jumping on the Dyna and just immediately feeling the difference in the size of the bikes. It's crazy, So and both bikes are great bikes and they both have their purpose, but there's definitely a difference, So you gotta, when you buy a bike, you got to know what you need, because there's a big difference. And you don't really think about it. You get used to riding a type of bike and you don't think about other bikes and what they built like, and how they might fit you and, all that kind of stuff. You just get used to riding it. But, there's definitely bikes better for certain things than others. Also, I was, I teach, so I was blessed because I threw out a plan to teach a class on counterculture history. And in that, it was designed to cover, several different counterculture groups or movements, including the motorcycle club movement. And I didn't think it was going to be accepted. And I got, an email from my supervisor, my boss, saying, hey, can you teach that? And I was like, oh, heck yeah. So, I started teaching it, and it was interesting going through the history of the clubs and just MCs in general, going back to the foundation of motorcycles. When did that start? Talking about Indian and Harley and some of the other more obscure makers like, Merkel, Excelsior, Thor, all those. And then, having Harley and Indian be the ones that rise up out of that mud. And, how when it all started, it was a gentleman's sport, People joined because they wanted to ride. They wanted to have some fun. They wanted that wind therapy. They wanted that exhilaration, the adrenaline rush of riding fast on two wheels. And they created these races and these endurance runs, and they all started doing these things, and little clubs started to form up of people who wanted to ride with somebody. They didn't have the vision that of what clubs would become. They just wanted some folks to ride together. You know, a lot of it was kind of family based. You know, you had a lot of guys and they would allow women in and they, you know, get themselves a name and start riding and having fun and doing what they did. They, you know, started going from place to place to participate in events in different cities, you know, paying respects to those different cities. And, you know, over time, you know, you get young people involved and they become a bit rebellious, especially when they came home from the wars. And so, you know, you started to see them become a little bit more, what's the word? Well, just rebellious, destructive, you know, knuckleheads. But it was cool to go through all of that stuff. You know, a lot of that stuff I knew, but then just prepping for teaching it, you know, revisiting it, it was kind of cool to go back through a lot of that information and being familiar with it and seeing how important California is to the motorcycle culture, to the motorcycle movement. 3 of the oldest clubs in existence are all based here in California. You know, they're not necessarily outlaw clubs, but they're motorcycle clubs from early 1900s. That's crazy, man. It's like, wow, you've been around over 100 years. You know, the oldest club in existence was founded in 1903. Here we are, 2023. That club is 120 years old. The oldest club in my area was founded in 1907. That's the Pasadena Motorcycle Club. I mean, shoot, that's a long time to keep a club going. You know, you're probably going through a lot of heartache and losing members, gaining members, growing, shrinking, you know, having to make a commitment to continue, you know, dealing with personalities and attitudes and politics and war and whatever took place over all these times. Think about it, trying to maintain a motorcycle club going through the Depression, right? Or during the wars, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, all those things. And then seeing the birth of outlaws. So not only did California give birth to 3 of the oldest clubs, but California gave birth to the outlaw, right? The Hollister movement, the Hollister clubs that were present, that were credited with being rebel rousers, disruptors, or whatever, whether it's true or not. You know, historically speaking, they're linked to that. And most of them still exist. But, you know, coming out of that, being declared an outlaw, this is the home of the outlaw. This is it. It's amazing. And then, you know, it's everything about California ain't bad. You know, today we struggle with the politics of California because it's super liberal. And you know, we got so many problems with homelessness, with crime, you know. People complain about so much. But then we also have, you know, as a biker, as a motorcyclist, you also have the ability to ride your bike 24/7, you know, 12 months a year. You don't have to park your bike for 6 months. I grew up in Ohio and my dad was a biker. And I remember my dad taking the bikes into the basement during the winter time, and he would break his bike down and do whatever he was going to do to it. And then the bike sat in the basement. You go by a clubhouse back there and everybody was in their car. You know, the clubhouses still function, the clubs still function, but there were no bikes out because you had snow or it was so cold. Nobody wanted to be riding in 10 degrees. You know, no one wanted to ride in that. So, you know, everyone jumped in their cars and kept it pushing. But here you can do this all year round. And not only that, but you can go to the mountains and to the beach in the same day. You can ride out to the desert or to the farms in the same day. You can do all of this in one day. And so that makes California so much more uh, of a desirable place if you're a biker, if you ride motorcycles, because you can just any given weekend, any given day, you can go for a ride. That's hard to understand for some people. I imagine in Florida, you probably got that same kind of a vibe. Across the southern Texas, in the Southwest, you probably feel like that. Not so much in the South, because I lived in the South and it gets cold, it snows and all that kind of stuff. So, but and in a lot of places where you don't get a whole lot of snow unless you're up in the mountains, you can ride all the time. And so that's what makes this place so great, despite the politics of it. Looking back at how the clubs functioned back in the day, you saw a lot of clubs, they partied by themselves or with a limited group of people. They might have functioned with just a couple clubs. Now clubs are so much more integrated. These big giant, runs, not just events like Hollister or Daytona or Sturgis, but like locally, they have a weekend run party somewhere or whatever. And, it could be any number of clubs there. But, when you start mixing and mingling, you got politics and things happen. People might rub someone the wrong way, and then you got feelings involved and stuff like that. So, things happen. And that happens in the Christian world as well. And as a Christian in a Christian club, we want to build alliances with other Christian clubs. And it's not always easy, because Christian clubs don't always want to work together. And it's sad because you see more Christian clubs come together at secular events than you see them come together at Christian events. Think about that. You see more Christians out at a 1%er secular club event than you see them at another Christian club's event. Why is that? I don't know, but I'm sure the 1%ers notice. I'm sure the secular clubs notice that the Christians don't function together, that the Christians don't get along. And if we're supposed to be Christian and we're supposed to be part of one body, those body parts, as the Bible tells us, all have a different function, but they have to come together for the good of the whole body, right? If one body part begins to function in a way that does not serve the rest of the body, then what good is it? And that's how we are as Christian clubs. We're not functioning together. But I'm not going to go deep into that right now. I want to do a separate video just on that. I just wanted to touch base with you guys, let you know what's going on with my ride here. Ruthie, she's still down, still under the weather. Got to get this exhaust pipe going while I enjoy a cigar. So peace and love. God bless to everyone out there. Hit me up. Let me know if there's something you want to know about me, about the Christian MC world, about my club, about places to ride around Southern California. Just hit me up. Drop me a DM or leave a post in the comments. I think my email might be on my page. I should put it on there. If it's not, you can email me. All right, y'all. Peace out. Love y'all. See y'all next time.